Andrew, you right?
I'm good. How are you? How's things?
Yeah, good.
So we are jumping into our Web3 digest show, and I have a droopy mic. let me just tighten this up. That's not a euphemism. So good stuff. Welcome to the show, guys. If you're listening and watching Web3 Digest, we're talking whitelists and also free mints today, right, Amit?
All in the context of NFTs.
All in the context of NFTs, all in the context of sleepless nights, because you're in the wrong time zone for some of this, some of this buzz. So I think, do we want to start by explaining what whitelist and free mint is?
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, well, I'll do whitelist.
Go on, yeah.
So ultimately what happens is NFT collections are launched, and collections are normally made up of multiple NFTs.
Yep.
Right. So typically they could be anything from say 1,000 to 10,000 is what you see.
Yep.
And a lot of the time, based on what that NFT is trying to achieve. So is it something that's on the back of a community that's been formed?
Yeah.
Is there some sort of utility that's tied into it?
Mm-hmm.
I think a really kind of good example recently is the Stickman Toys project.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Which is a collaboration between Warner Records in the UK and then Bose.
Yep.
And they've been building their community for the last few months. And all of a sudden they said, right, we're ready to launch our NFT. And to get whitelisted, you needed to have, a couple of other things, right? You needed to follow them on Twitter.
Yeah.
You needed to be on their kind of Discord channel.
Yeah.
You needed to perhaps own another NFT from a partner collection. But ultimately, there's a series of things that you typically need to do. Some things are easier than others. And then that gives you a chance of being whitelisted, which basically means that if they've got 5,000 NFTs being released, if you're whitelisted, that means that you'll be guaranteed
to get one. The opportunity to get one. Yeah. So you still may have to pay for it. You may get it. You may get it as a lower price. Let's say potentially. Sometimes.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah. So
and I think it should be
said early.
Yeah, like these mints. When something goes mints and it's obviously got a buzz on a project, you're talking about potentially minutes that it can sell out, like a collection.
That's right. Yeah.
In that sense.
So having that kind of whitelist kind of safeguards, you normally have maybe 24-hour advantage over a potential public mint. Where you can go in and obtain your NFT or NFTs based on what you've won.
And usually they'll give you a limit, right?
And then again, that can be just related to the project. So some projects will say, look, only 1 mint per wallet. Others, there was one that we got involved in a few weeks back, and for whatever reason they said it's 20, right? You get 20 per whitelist, and it was a free mint. Right.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Yeah. So that kind of nicely brings us into free mint. So we wanted to talk about these two things basically because they're quite kind of busy out there at the moment. But anyway, essentially a free mint is exactly what it says. Obviously I think we've done the basics before from an NFT perspective. When you go and purchase NFT, obviously usually at the moment predominantly kind of ETH or Solana, when you purchase it, there's a certain element of gas fees associated to minting it. So on top of what the actual NFT costs, you have to pay a gas fee. Obviously with a free mint, the idea is that, well, actually it costs you nothing. You're just essentially paying a gas fee.
Which is the transaction fee.
Which is like a transaction fee. So think of it like a credit card transaction in that sense. So there's now, been a lot of projects that kind of, are jumping into that space from a free mint perspective. So I think, some of the popular collections that are out there at the moment are on the back of a free mint, right? So some of the kind of ones that are, potentially quite big or also on the back of a free mint.
Yeah, there's a few things I think which are quite interesting in the space, right? Because I think what you've got is, and I think if you're about to launch a collection, I think that's one of the key decisions that you want to make. Right? Because ultimately you want to generate some sort of revenue or there has to be some reason for you launching a collection. And so you can either choose to, launch it as a free mint, or you can, charge a nominal fee, right?
Like NF Tiffany, right? So Tiffany,
nominal fee.
nominal fee
$52,000.
$52,000. Yeah.
Right.
So I mean that is and then that is something that's obviously current at the moment. That's basically out there, and they're doing in Tiffany, obviously, as we know, the jewelers doing an NFTIF. But wildly already, someone has done TIFF punks.
Yeah.
So and that minted free and blah blah blah. People piggybacking on hype, right?
Yeah.
In that sense. But yeah, so you've got to make a decision. I think in those projects, do you want to attach a value to that?
Yeah.
And that may be like an artistic value, or it may be there's something on the back of it. So I think examples of that recently would have been like Etihad Airways, where it was $306 to mint the NFT,
Right.
but immediately you got silver access to their loyalty club. You had like an airport transfer. There was some like monetary value associated to jumping in and spending money on that, right? So
yeah, and I think there's and then it's obviously it's easy then to try and justify the cost, right?
Yeah.
There's a couple of things though. I think a lot of brands are looking at this saying, well, do we want to go down the free mint road? And I think a lot are choosing to do so.
Yeah.
And I think it does make sense because potentially there's much less kind of recourse from the people who purchase a free mint than from people who maybe spend $200-$300 on a mint, for example, on an NFT, and are perhaps let down, right?
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, the company can't deliver on what it's promised from a utility perspective, or the experience is poor. And then rather than have a backlash of people saying, hey, I've just spent hundreds of dollars on this NFT and it's useless, I'm gonna now lose money. It's sometimes easier for a brand to say, do you know what, we don't necessarily need the cash from an NFT, and actually if we make this successful, we're going to generate revenue anyway, which I think is the secondary part of this, where a lot of free mints or free mint collections, when they're initially launched, are given away. So you'll see a lot of collections that are 10,000 items, for example. And I think there's a couple of reasons why they do. The first one is it's really easy to then say, hey, we've sold out.
Yes.
When ultimately it's not cost them.
You haven't sold anything. You've just given away stuff.
A lot of people like things for free.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then the second reason is just that lack of, there's much less kind of recourse, right? People aren't going to come back and start screaming at you.
Yeah. And I think also as well, look, I mean, it kind of fuels the whole environment at the moment. There's people in this space that are flipping these free mints, right? So, minting a certain amount and then making dollars, on the penny, as it were, and kind of flipping them over. And again, that drives secondary sales and everything. So obviously once, you have, as you said, that most of the kind of free mint, that I've been following, that sold out is on their Twitter, it's on their Discord, it's kind of heavily publicized, right?
Yeah, and they're trying to drive demand, and now if something is sold out, and obviously someone then goes and buys one off a secondary market, typically people are making between 7.5% and 12% royalty fees, and that's where that revenue starts to kick in. I think in a previous episode we spoke about the goblins and how successful that is, right? That was a free mint.
Yes, right? I think that should be. There's a good valid point. I mean, look, the other reason that people are actually looking at these whitelist giveaways and these free mints and why they work pretty hard on it is the fact that they're looking for that next project. They're looking for the next project that could be, potentially life changing, or could potentially kind of put some more money on the table as well, right? As well.
I think the challenge with all of this is, there's definitely a trade-off, right?
Yes.
So I'm seeing in a lot of pre-mint, where you can try and get whitelisted. It's a platform called pre-mint. They're now asking for a minimum amount of ETH in your wallet to get whitelisted.
Yeah, and you have to put Twitter, Discord, email.
Plus.
Yeah.
And the reason they're doing that is because they want to almost kind of disqualify the speculators.
Yes.
The guys who are coming in and almost
the bots.
Yeah, right. And the guys who are ultimately being, penny stocks. Right? The same sort of mindset. They buy a few, goes up double. They're happy to walk away with, $50, right?
Paper hands, as they call them.
Paper hands as well, right? But but it does create that as a challenge, because you're potentially attracting the wrong audience.
Yeah.
When you're giving away something for free, right? And so that's you know, and that, you know, that's the same with all walks of business, right?
Yeah, you see that. I mean, it's that valuation piece, right? So the value perception on the actual value associated to the NFT. You know, when people are trying to, you know, instill some value, and then you've obviously got people that are, you know, kind of listing, let's say, on the secondary market or far below market rate, that can fluctuate. And I think the thing is that what we should say is this as well, is it happens very fast in real time. You know, I've been involved. Yeah, for the last couple of weeks, basically no sleep on US time zone, but seeing, you know, how fast these things can mint out, obviously because they're free, then obviously move to secondary market, then see the mint go up and down and see it fluctuate, and then obviously there's a reveal piece, and once it reveals, and perhaps the next episode we can kind of possibly look at some rarity and some of those things and take a bit of a deeper dive into it. But yeah, cool. Good stuff. All right, guys, look, we're always trying to make these short, punchy. We hope that kind of gave you a bit of an overview of free minting and whitelisting. As always, if you want to kind of get in contact with me and Amit, shoot us a tweet, drop us a LinkedIn shout out. And obviously, we're happy to have a conversation. But in the meantime, thanks, Amit.
Thanks, Andrew.
Cheers. Bye, guys.